since we last spoke, the Irish got a commitment from James Flanagan. His dad was a pretty good Notre Dame football player back in the day.
Yeah, not bad, huh? Jim Flanagan played for Notre Dame, what, around 30 years ago, Darren. So a little time ago. And then, was an interior defensive lineman in the NFL. I believe he won the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. And James Flanagan attends Notre Dame De La Bay Academy. Sorry for the mispronunciation. Ranks as the number 127 overall player, does James Flanagan, number 5 tight end in the 2025 class. So he is a high school junior. Now for the spring game, Darren, there was a clip that Tom Lemming posted on Twitter where it was, he went from like Jim Flanagan to James Flanagan to Jerome Bettis Sr. to Jerome Bettis Jr. to Bryant Young to Bryce Young. I'm just thinking there's no way Notre Dame doesn't land all three of these guys. Bryce Young commits, I think, a week later. You got Flanagan commits 6 months later, and Jerome Bettis Jr. I mean, what we think Jerome Bettis Jr. is going to end up other than Notre Dame? I mean, that would be crazy if he doesn't. I mean, it's not like there's a Notre Dame legacy that's escaping me. His son, and the father's escaping me, but it was a few years ago, and it was a defensive back in Texas. It's killing me. I can't remember. But he, from the get-go, he didn't seem very interested in Notre Dame. But Jerome Bettis Jr. and these guys all do from the beginning. It's like they keep visiting Notre Dame. It's like, all right, these kids are going to Notre Dame. And James Flanagan, had some interest in Michigan and Stanford and the in-state school, Wisconsin. But it was, as far as I'm concerned, always going to be Notre Dame. And for folks watching this on YouTube, Flanagan hasn't put out a full junior season highlight tape, so we're just watching one game. This was actually this past Friday, one game highlight. So, Darren, he's good on both sides of the ball. He's going to come to Notre Dame as a tight end, but Al Washington will want him on the defensive side of the ball because he's a pretty good defensive end as well. So he's got the size, he's got the bloodlines. Fantastic kid. Really enjoyed covering his recruitment. And I know my coworker, Kyle Kelly, would say the same. So in terms of him as a tight end, he's kind of an all-around guy, Darren. I mean, he blocks, he's physical, pretty athletic kid. He's a good player. This is continuing tight end U. And, Darren, since I've been covering Notre Dame, I feel like Notre Dame, like in terms of rankings for the Irish being tight end U, you're like, why aren't they signing like more top 5 tight ends, more elite guys in terms of just rankings. Rankings aren't the be all end all, but it's a fine data point to look at. They are, in James Flanagan, you like to see that On3's recent ranking has him as the number 92 overall player, number 5 tight end. A nice solid pickup, Notre Dame landing James Flanagan.
Finally, Mike, just give me your impressions right now. I know the Irish are deep into recruiting for the 25 class and getting commitments. Are they ahead of schedule? Are they on a good pace? How would you put it into perspective where the coaching staff is right now with the 25 class?
Yeah, it's a good question. So last summer for the 2024 class, right? So Notre Dame's finishing up 2023 and they're getting started on 24. They picked up CJ Carr, Cam Williams, Jack Larson, some elite, prospects. And then for this 2025 class, Notre Dame didn't. They picked up an April commitment from Davion Dixon, an interior defense lineman from Miami. But after that, it was like nothing. So I remember a lot of Notre Dame fans were like very concerned about 2025 recruiting. I'm like, guys, let's take a chill pill. Like, let's wait a little bit. And now Notre Dame's got the nation's number 45 overall quarterback and number 45 overall player, number 4 quarterback. That's not bad in Deuce Knight, a 6'4.5", 200-pound lefty who runs a 4.5. Just stop the count right there, Darren. We're good. We don't need to hear anything else. You got one of the best quarterbacks in the country. I mean, what else do you need, Darren? I mean, everything else is kind of gravy. You got James Flanagan, who we just talked about. CJ May is a 4-star pass rusher who I like from Alabama. Pulling him, his high school is close to Auburn. He picks Notre Dame over Auburn. Justin Thurman, a running back who I think has scored like 10 touchdowns in his last 4 games. He's doing really well at Tampa Jesuit. Davion Dixon, a big beefy interior defensive lineman. You got Joseph Reif, a defensive lineman who Notre Dame thinks is going to be a bully when he gets to Notre Dame in a couple years, and then a fine running back, Daniel Anderson from Bryant, Arkansas. You got 7 commits, currently ranks number 6 in the country. Obviously, it's super early to talk about 2025 class rankings, but the class score, their rating, and we're not going to get into the whole what this means, but it's a 92.16, which if you compare that to the 2024 class, it's actually better. The 2024 class has a 91.62. So but it starts with the quarterback, Darren. You have an elite quarterback. That's what we need in Notre Dame. Of course, he needs pieces around him, but you get a player like Deuce Knight, and I'm going to say that recruiting's going pretty well for the Fighting Irish.